Hello. Welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Neil Magnuson, and this is a show where we talk about truth, hope, and change, and THC, and how they relate to each other. And they certainly do relate to each other because there's a lot of truths about THC that most people aren't aware of, and lots to learn about that. And when you learn about all of that, you find out that, well, there's some need for some serious hope about what we can do in the future with respect to access to THC. And there's definitely a need for some change with the way things are. So truth, hope, and change continue to be very relevant titles for the show that we're doing here. On the show today, we're going to have 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca join us for the 420 session as always. PrettyEastVan will be joining us for an interview today. Really good to be talking to her. We'll have an update, of course, of the Healing Wave CSPRV. And the great Spicoli is going to drop by and tell us something about something, and we'll see what that's all about. Mostly, if you followed the show at all, you know that really my issue is freedom. Freedom is something that, to me, is one of the most important foundations of existence, that without it, people make terrible decisions about what they do with their lives and how they live their lives, and they certainly never get to express themselves in the way that they would if they were free to express themselves and live their lives. Freedom is a super important thing, and freedom is an interesting thing, too, because there's so many different variations of what freedom might be, when and how it can be applied, where it can be taken away, all of these things. As a rights activist, it's about the freedom that we have as individuals to do or not do whatever we want to do or don't want to do, unless we're harming other people. And that, to me, is a sovereign right that we have. We have our own personal sovereignty. Each and every one of us is the king of our own realm, and we should be respected as such. And so, your freedom is there or not there in many different circumstances, starting with the home that you're born into, and of course nobody has ultimate freedom when they're first born into a place. You couldn't deal with it if you had it. You wouldn't know what to do. You need to be guided. You need to be taught, and and until you're no longer helpless and lacking all that independence, you need to have that sort of thing. And so we're not free when we arrive here. In fact, nature provides that the guardians of us, mostly hopefully our parents, love us, care about us, have our interests at heart, number one, and that they get to tell us what to do and what not to do, whether we agree with it or not, up until a certain point. But when you reach that certain point where you're going to make decisions for yourself at this point. I don't think it's necessarily an age threshold that you arrive at a certain age and all of a sudden you can be independent. I think it's a gradual thing, but there comes a point where an individual has grown and learned enough that they can say, thank you so much for all you've taught me. I haven't learned everything yet. I don't necessarily agree with everything that you've tried to tell me. I'm going to be my own individual human being now. And they can go out into the world and do that. And from that point on, nobody really is in charge of them anymore but them. And the only time anybody would have any charge of them is if they did something to interfere with their own freedom by interfering with somebody else's freedom, by either stealing something or assaulting somebody or things like that. But short of that, we should be free to live our lives. Now, as the masses of people throughout the history of human beings on this planet, however far back that goes, seldom has that really been the case where, a person is born into the world that they're in, and once, emerging out of their family situation, that they find themselves actually free and able to live their lives without much encumberment. In fact, we've had great encumberment over the millennia of tyrants and dictators and pharaohs and kings and queens and all of these sorts that have wreaked havoc over ordinary people based on their whims, whether what they want built for themselves, how much taxes they want, how they want people to behave, and all that sort of stuff. And so we've been struggling as masses of people for a long time to emerge from under the thumb of these elite people, these financially elite people, these elite connected people, however it is they get to be in those positions of power over people. That power, when not used responsibly, when used to interfere with people's right to do or not do as they want to do or don't want to do, is something that we've been fighting for a long time. And in that process, we have come up with common law principles, the principles that have been developed over a couple of 100 years of, innocent until proven guilty and things like that have been used as staple fundamental bases of how we do deal with people if they do or are accused or suspected of harming other people or stepping on other people's rights. And we've also developed different forms of government, and one would think that we've kind of moved away from that king and queen and tyrant sort of situation here, but I'm not sure that we have. And, the role of government as I see it, as the bill of goods that we've been sold with respect to what governance is in this country in any case, is that of public servants who are paid an annual salary to protect the individual rights of Canadian citizens and to help guide our country of free people into the future. And they're not doing that. And I started prepping for today's show thinking about all the different ways in which the governments of late, especially, but over the last decades, have been abusing their powers and overstepping those boundaries that you would think are on public servants in a free and democratic society. And it led me to, primarily with respect to governments that have for decades now decided that it is somehow within their scope and their realm of influence to be able to dictate to citizens whether or not you can go and pick some flowers growing out in the back field, dry them out, roll them up and light them on fire and inhale them. And whether or not these people have that sort of power over an individual, an adult, that they could say, well, no, you can't do that. And I don't think that's right. And I don't think that's ever been right. I don't think that they ever had justification to do it in the first place. But even if there was proper justification, even if the rolling up and inhaling of the fumes of this dried plant that people were doing was causing death and chaos and mayhem, and there was nobody using it for any benefit, and everybody was just getting messed up by it, and it was screwing up our whole society, and it was highly addictive, and all of that, even if all of that was true, it wouldn't and shouldn't be within the realm of public servants in a free and democratic society to be able to prohibit that activity. Maybe there's one person that can find an advantage. Maybe there's somebody who's looking for the disadvantage. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's nobody's business but your business whether you want to do something like that. I mean, maybe when you were a kid and your mom and dad could say, hey, don't be rolling up those dried flowers and lighting them on fire and inhaling them. That's not good for you. That could kill you. And maybe they're right. Some plants, absolutely it would. Most plants, absolutely it would. Funny how the one plant that it really doesn't have that potential is the one plant that they spend so much of our money and their time that we're paying for and our police resources and all the rest of that to try to keep from happening. If it was actually causing death and chaos and mayhem and everybody was getting highly addictive and nobody was finding a benefit out of it, well, nobody would be doing it. There'd be nobody standing at a corner trying to sell the stuff because nobody would want to do it. But that's not the case. So anyway, that's been my issue for a very long time, that we are not free, and we need to be free. Freedom is so important for us, the generations to come. It is so important. The lack of freedom is at the root of so much of the chaos, death, and mayhem in our society. So we've got these governments, and we think they're supposed to be working for us. I mean, they draw a salary, we pay them. They come up with a bunch of proposals to get us enticed into voting for them. But I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole in looking at what it is that they're supposed to be doing there. Because I thought that they must, especially with the last couple of years and the emergency measures that were taken to try to protect people from this unknown, who knew how bad thing that was happening. Those emergency measures, in my opinion, were definite clear violations of the powers of government and what it is that they can and cannot dictate to us. So I looked up, what is this oath that I think they must be violating, and what oath is taken by our politicians. First, I looked provincially and found that the oath that they swear is about protecting the interests of Her Majesty the Queen. Federally, the oath that they swear, and it's these are not long oaths. They're basically, I swear to uphold the rights of Her Majesty the Queen. And on the federal level, strangely enough, they're swearing an oath to protect the interests of King George. And that all of their efforts must be to defend him. That's what it says. So I looked up whether or not Canadian citizens are sovereign beings or subjects. Turns out we're subjects. We are subjects of Her Majesty the Queen of the UK. That even though we have independence, we have a constitution, ultimately, it's her prerogative. We are ruled with her prerogative. And she has ultimate power. And her descendants and heirs as they come along after her, as far as that oath goes, and as far as what it says in that constitutional document. So that leaves me feeling a little bit less free than I did before. Although I don't subscribe to such things. And although they may use violence against me to force me to comply with whatever it is they might want me to comply with that I might not want to comply with, I don't cede my power to the Queen or King George or the Prime Minister or the cop. I don't cede my power to these people. None of us should cede our power to these people. We weren't ever asked. I was never asked. Apparently, I've agreed to things and signed documents and by such setting precedents that I am allowing myself to be owned by these people. But I never understood that. And I never agreed to that. And I wouldn't agree to that. I don't think too many Canadians would agree to that. I think I was just born here. And then all of a sudden I'm owned by the Queen. And the Queen can tell me to do whatever they want. And so they've been ruling us for quite a while, right? And it hasn't really been fun. Like, everything's good except where the government gets involved in your life. Where the cop comes along and does a wellness check. Or whatever it is that happens that puts you in contact with our public servants. Life is pretty good until, they've tripled my property tax. I'm being pulled over for something stupid. School's investigating because my kid said that I'm growing plants. 419. They rule by fear. They rule by intimidation. And they shouldn't have that right or ability. And we shouldn't have anybody in positions that would do that. We need a different system. We need to reset our democracy. We need to think about what it is to have public servants and what it means to be a free and sovereign individual and what interference we are willing to tolerate from the people that we pay to be our servants and to look after our needs and our desires. We need to rethink all of this because it is way, way, way out of control. Canada is not even a country. Canada is a corporation. Canada is a corporation. We are subjects of a queen still. We are fodder for corporations who want to exploit us and monopolize us. And we need to stop it. We need to big time stop it. So I'm not sure how we do that. I hope some of you have some ideas. We look for ways to change things. There are some ways to change things. Everybody can make a difference. One person can make a huge difference. A whole bunch of people can make a big difference. But we have to know what we're doing and we have to do it right. And I hope we can figure out how to do that. Because these are dangerous times that we're living in. Because the future, as it's emerging, with our rights being taken away, is not looking very much fun at all. I could go into some other things, but it's 4:20, so I guess we have to move along. And that means that Glenn Wells is here, as always, to join me for the 4:20 session. Come on in, Mr. Wells. How are you, sir?
Mr. Wells.
Mr. Wells.
Oh, Mr. Magnuson.
Mr. Magnuson, Mr. Wells.
I thought we were past the misters.
Oh, no. It's when you get past the misters, a long way down the road, that then you go back to the misters.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh.
Yeah.
They only call me Mister when I'm on the phone talking to some call center or something like that.
I mean, you're supposed to say, no, that's what they call my dad. He's Mr. Magnuson. I'm not Mr. Magnuson. But,
Oh, wow. We don't know that one.
You don't even know that one.
No, that one.
You didn't turn your phone
Somebody
down.
from a 413 area code.
Well, that's not working very well. I got a new toker.
Oh.
Gibson glass toker there.
Yeah.
They're good.
I was going to say something I want.
So,
Hi, Dee.
I know we're supposed to try to have a little more fun on the 420 session and on the rest of the show.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, it does really rule my whole roost, this idea of us not being free and how that manifests itself, and public servants that really seem to operate like as if they have some 4-year rotating dictatorship where...
Yeah.
Where, you know, if enough of the population, around 30-some%, actually go and vote for them, that they then get carte blanche, blank check, they can do what they want.
Yeah.
And that filters all the way down to those people that are doing the government's bidding.
Yep.
And in this case, I'm talking about the cops. We have had lots of nasty encounters with the cops over the years. I've had some good ones too. But more than that, it's nasty, and most of the time, for most people, it's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
I suffer from a bit of paranoia when I see the red lights flashing in behind me because of an incident that happened with a bunch of cops and guns that took me down when I hadn't done anything wrong except reported a missing license plate, you know.
Yeah.
And here you were telling me about something that happened to you the other day or today.
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Just yesterday.
Well, tell us the story.
About 24 hours ago.
24 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
24 hours ago, you
yeah.
were in a rental car.
Yeah, I was in a rental car because my car had 2 flat tires from hitting a huge pothole, which you've seen.
Be very careful out there on the roads.
Man, the roads,
you know, wherever you are in North
bad.
America, when we go through a winter time, water gets down into pockets underneath the pavement, freezes and disrupts the pavement. Yep. And then those become big potholes. I've hit a couple myself. I didn't hurt my tires, but I've had to avoid a number of them. I'm being very careful now because I know they could be around any corner that's out there. So if you're driving, be careful of that. The roads need some repair after we go through a winter for sure.
So my car got towed at the shop, and I'm going down to the shop yesterday to see about my car, and I'm sitting in the left-hand lane waiting to make a turn. And because I don't have my car, my phone is not in the holder that it usually is.
Because you don't have a holder.
That's the usual first thing is I do when I get in my red car is I put my phone in a holder, plug it in, and then it's good. But because I'm in a rental car, I just instinctively picked up my phone and said, "Hey Google, call Fountain Tire." Right? No, don't call Fountain Tire.
It just tried to do it right there.
Yeah. So and
don't have to push a button.
No, don't push a button. You can. He says you can't even touch your phone. Like, what happens if it falls and it's underneath your gas pedal or something? You're not allowed to reach down and grab it or whatever?
It's stupidity, Glenn.
Yeah.
It's stupidity.
The rule is no texting and driving. While I wasn't texting, all I was doing was telling my phone what to do.
Well, I mean, the thing is no handheld devices. That's what they say.
Yeah.
And there used to be a big thing about that. When people started getting cell phones and driving around in their cars, a lot of bad accidents happened. A lot of people. I saw some videos of accidents. You know, you could see it. The statistics were there. And they had a huge campaign, and they've got huge fines.
Yep.
Lots of penalties.
$368.
Wow.
Is my ticket.
And there's no fuss about it anymore because the statistics went way down. There's not a whole bunch of accidents happening because of distracted drivers. There still is, for sure, because distracted driving has always been a part of driving. Always. Not just the handheld phones or anything. Lots of things people do when they're driving that take their attention off of the road. It has always been one of the big causes of accidents. When phones came along, that all increased. A huge campaign. Here we are years later. You don't hear anything else about it anymore. No. But they're still out there looking for people. They still got campaigns where they're hiding on overpasses and you know,
this guy was in a bank parking lot with 3 lanes of traffic and then the left-hand turn lane, and he was all the way over there and he saw me pick up my phone. And all of a sudden, there's this cop in front of my car, and he asked me for my license. And I'm like, what the hell's wrong? What did I do, right? And he goes,
that would be not okay, but still not so bad, because whatever. I guess that's the law. I guess that's what we're paying them for. Although, come on, cops, have some common sense. There's a time to enforce laws, and there's a time to not enforce laws. You weren't like driving at 80 miles an hour at the time.
I was sitting still.
You were sitting still.
I picked up my phone and said, "Hey, Google, do this." Yeah. Right?
So, they always have to go overboard with these driving laws. It's always designed for the lowest common denominator. That's what they do. The stupid people have to be accommodated for, so they make rules that are just for stupid people because, you know, the average capable person wouldn't do stuff like that, but some people do. So they have to do that. And they catch them doing that, and they give them fines and tickets, and they do it less. And so, okay, great. But we need some reasonableness out there, because if what you're doing is not dangerous in any way, then there needs to be some lenience there. But it goes way beyond that with what happened to you.
Yeah.
Because this cop had not been laid the way he expected to over the past short period of time, and it was very, very apparent in his attitude.
Oh, he was not in a good mood.
He just didn't like life at that point, and you were part of it. And so he got into a little... He threatened you with what?
Yeah, he said, I'm going to make sure that you get every fine that I can give you, when he was getting into his car, because I was giving him attitude about just asking my phone to call somebody.
Yeah, you're standing up for yourself.
Yeah, I didn't text or anything. I said the Supreme Court, I've been reading, sometimes some judges are going this way, that touching the phone is illegal, and then some are saying that it's not. Right? Because I wasn't texting, I was only doing what I'm supposed to do.
But you just got your license, right?
Oh, yeah, what do you mean?
Like, wasn't it a month ago you got your learner's license replaced with a real license, something like that?
No.
How long you been driving?
Over 30 years.
30 years of driving.
Over 30 years of
But you have accidents all the time.
No speeding ticket. I got one speeding ticket.
What about accidents from distracted driving?
Nothing
like that.
No.
So you got a good history of driving.
Because I have a holder in my phone, in my car, but not my
rental. You look like you're 16.
I know I look like I'm 16.
So I'm being facetious, obviously. Anybody who knows me, right? You can't trust half of what I say.
I'm going to take him to court.
I believe in the truth, but I'm lying half the time, just for fun, though. So, but yeah, this is stupid and ridiculous, and now you've got to go to court.
Yeah.
And he assures you he's coming.
Oh, yeah, he assures me he's coming. I say, I'll see you in court. He says, okay, no problem, I'll see you there. He says, right, so...
This is wrong, folks. This is wrong.
I can see if I was sitting at the red light going like this and doing a whole bunch of stuff on my phone, but all I did was this. I picked up my phone and I went, hey, I told it what to do.
And even then, for me, I'm much more reasonable than that. I don't do it because why? I think the cops might be watching, and I don't like tickets, so I haven't gotten tickets for it. But
that's why I have a holder.
So I don't do it.
Yeah.
But I don't see any good reason why I can't sit at a red light and do things, whatever that may be, in my car.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not still not completely paying attention, if somebody's going to run through the red light, I'm always aware, right? Because I'm a driver. I've driven 1 million miles. I'm not a kid, and I got lots of experience. I've seen it all, and I know how to take something out of my glove box when I'm parked at a red light. I know how to quickly look at something on a notepad that I have. I know how to change the radio station. I know how to do these things. I never have accidents
doing it. And you know what? The cops know how to use their laptops sitting at a fucking red light, too.
I pulled up alongside a cop on his phone.
Yeah.
Driving. I looked over at him. We were sitting in a red light, but there he is texting on his phone. I looked over at him. He looked over at me. I didn't really give him attitude, but he knew I could have.
I called their shop and I said, why can they do this? They have special training. So why can't the fucking world get special training to do the same thing? If we can all learn how to drive cars like race car drivers, why can't we learn to do our vehicles like the cops can do?
I was one of the first people to have a phone in my car.
Yeah.
I worked in the insurance industry at the time. I was a senior estimator with the company that I worked for. And so when phones first became available, we got them. Mm-hmm. So I had a dial-up mounted phone. No. I had a phone. You picked it up and you talked just like a regular phone.
Yeah, mobile operator.
Yeah.
Call this number. It
was great. And then I had the big thing, and then I had that big thing, and then I had the big this thing, and then I had the small this thing, and then I had a million others of these things.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a veteran phone user. But my buddy Dan Gork, may he rest in peace, he was my boss for 6.5 years. And he was an extremely efficient, a genius of a person. He had graduated university at 16 years of age, and he went on to be an insurance specialist, renovator, restoration guy, running a company. Anyway, he wasn't a hands-on guy, but he could do estimates, and he could hire people, and he knew how to hire the right people. And he was a great, great guy. When we got those phones, he was all about make sure you use every opportunity to put that thing to work and make us money. As soon as you're at a red light, get it out and phone Mrs. Jones and let her know where you are.
Yeah.
And so I was all about my vehicle was my office for a long time. And then the whole distracting driving thing came along. Well, Dan would have hated that. But so anyway, it's the point is that these public servants need to tiptoe around us.
Yeah.
They need to be very careful about how and when they interfere with us. If there's not good reason for it, then they need to leave us alone or be very careful about it. In your case, that guy's attitude was out of line.
Oh, yeah.
Completely out of line.
I don't think they should be hiding on us, too. I know
Unless
we're not
there's a good reason
to.
For
we're
it.
not supposed. You could be standing on the corner to remind us not to touch our phones while we're sitting in our cars.
Put up a sign.
Right? Yeah.
Put up a sign at the intersection. and give us a good reason.
Yeah, not
like
to be
tell
hiding
us.
in a fucking
I
park
want to
with
know
binoculars.
because apparently when people pull out their phones and start pushing buttons at intersections, their cars blow up. You didn't know that?
No.
Well, that's why they have to do this.
When
It's
you're sitting
serious
still,
stuff.
right?
It's serious stuff, Glenn.
I love that rig. Thank you.
It's not serious, it's stupid, and that is my point, and that's why I'd
Yeah.
be silly about stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It really
we
is.
don't have an issue
I wasn't doing
with
anything.
people, not even, there's a tiny little bit of an issue with some people who aren't paying attention, sitting at a red light, and they're the first one in line, and when the light turns red, they don't go right away.
Oh, because they're on
For
their
what?
phone.
I don't know if they're on their phone. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're on their phone. I have no idea. But there's a slight issue with that.
Yeah.
It's a very minor issue. I'm a driver. I'm a regular. I drive a lot, and it's an issue out there. But it's a very minor one.
Okay.
It doesn't happen often. You know what happens when that happens? What happens when that happens?
What happens?
People honk at them.
Yeah. I
The
do
person behind them or the person behind
Yeah.
that person goes beep beep, and then they go, oh yeah, right.
The short
And
one.
away they go.
They
They don't speed off into oncoming traffic that kills them or anything. Then they go. And everybody is delayed like 3 seconds or 4 seconds or whatever it takes before you actually give a little toot toot. We are reasonable people for the most part. We can figure these things out. We don't need the cops to give us $380 some fine.
$368.
$368
Plus 4 points.
and points on the license
4
and
points.
and ruined your day and took up time in my show and But thanks for that. Thanks for that because it allowed me to illustrate the point that I was making to begin with.
Yeah.
Is that
now let me clarify. You are allowed one touch of your phone when it's in a holder, but not one touch when it's not in a holder. And that's what I had a problem with because I thought I'm allowed the one touch. I said to the officer, this is just one touch. I just asked it to do what I wanted to do. You're not allowed to do that, he says. It has to be in a holder. This is a rental car. They don't come with holders. My holder's in my car, which is being repaired, right? So
we want police
he didn't
officers.
say, okay, sir, now you know. Have a nice day.
Right.
He said, turn left, turn around the corner, come back, and park in the parking lot where he was sitting so he could give me the ticket. He took my license, too. Right?
No,
It's just ridiculous. I was just waiting for him to say, okay, now, sir, we see that you are in a rental car. We understand. No problem. Have a nice day. We can see that. I didn't even throw.
So if you look around the world, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of different incidents of public servants, enforcement officers overstepping their boundary, and we need to do something about that, and I really hope we do. There's something that I want to mention on the show that before we run out of time,
Sure.
I don't want to miss this because a good friend of ours has passed,
Yes.
another one. It has been a horrible couple of years for us in our community with people passing. And Keith Fagan was a warrior. In my opinion, he was the best thing that Alberta had to offer as an activist. He was an extremely intelligent and feisty human being who would not back down from authority and insisted on speaking truth to power when it needed to be said. And he's fought quite a battle for the last few years here with his health, and I don't think that there was much good coming for him either way, and so I guess I'm happy that he can rest in peace at this point.
We've frozen. Anil, we're frozen.
So running.
Okay.
So maybe we'll come back, and maybe we're frozen, maybe we're not.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, we're good.
So we're back.
Yeah.
Keith Fagan, to Debbie and all of his family, my deepest condolences. And for our community, we have lost a true warrior, one of the most loyal gentlemen that we ever had. His work stands for itself. Everybody in Alberta certainly knows all about what Keith did for the movement, and his work will continue on because of him in the future. So
was he part of the Cannabis Compassion Club too, or CCC?
He was connected to everything that was there.
Yeah.
My sorry, I step out for just a second here because I need another joint because I want to smoke one for Keith.
Yep, I'll do a dab for Keith.
And we should do a dab for Keith and smoke one for Keith.
You guys got a joint or a dab out there? Do one for Keith, please.
And for all of our other fallen warriors, there's so many of them. I'm not going to start it on the list because I'll miss a bunch probably. There's so many. But, every day now for the rest of my life, whenever I'm putting some of the magical vapors of the sacred herb into myself, it's in tribute to Keith and Greg and all the rest that have passed recently here. So Light them if you got them.
Cheers. Rest in peace. Packing my bowl for Keith. Nice.
Yeah.
For all our forum,
he was such a big
warriors.
supporter of the Freedom Tour. I stayed with him. He was my first contact in Alberta in 2005 when I first started that, or 2006, sorry. And he put me up there, and he would take me out to the highway every morning. I stayed with him for, I think, about a week or more. And he would take me to the highway and drop me off where I was the night before.
Yeah.
And then he would follow slowly in behind me with his big red pickup truck while I skated down the highway.
Nice.
And I'd get to wherever I got to, and then, I couldn't go anymore, or the sun was setting, or whatever it was, and, climb back into the truck, and then back to his place. And, yeah, he was such a big supporter of what I did there on the Freedom Tour.
Nice to do that, yeah.
Well, the Freedom Tour was much like the CSP, in that it was a big undertaking and a lot of unknowns with respect to how it was going to work, if it was going to work, and there was a lot that could have derailed it.
Yeah.
And the impetus that Keith gave me to get to where I got to, he got me to Medicine Hat. It was a huge chunk of if I hadn't had anybody in Alberta to help me get down that highway.
Right, yeah.
I had an incident in Alberta that could have knocked me off the Freedom Tour.
Yeah.
I think I talked about that
Yeah,
another time on the show.
Would that be the Edmonton incident or something?
No.
Oh,
This is where one of my fellow tourees at the time, Zach, and we decided I didn't have money for a motel anymore, and so we pitched a tent. Right on the railroad tracks, behind the Staples store.
Oh.
And at about 3:30 in the morning, I was sleeping, but I remember hearing in my dreams the sound of these voices coming towards us, and hearing, "Hey, what's that? A tent over there? Hey, let's go!" And all of a sudden, bang! I got kicked right in the head through the tent.
Oh wow!
And they were intent on doing some violence to us.
Wow.
So I had
strangers in a different town.
Yeah, I guess Calgary's a tough place to be pitching a tent on the side of the railroad tracks. Wow.
Sad.
Yeah, that could have been death.
Yeah.
I grabbed a steel pipe, for chain link fences, the posts.
Yeah.
It was just on the side of the railroad tracks. So when we were walking down the railroad tracks to find a place where we could pitch our tent, this thing was sitting there, and I grabbed it.
Okay.
And just sort of as a walking stick almost. But I don't know why. But I left it outside the tent door.
It's good you did.
So, well, yes, it was in the end.
Yeah.
Because when they started kicking at the tent and trying to push the tent over, I was screaming, "Hey, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And I reached out to get that bar, because the first thing I thought of was, if they get that steel bar, they're going to kill us with it.
Yeah.
And so I got my hand up as the tent was going over onto the zipper and pulled the zipper down, and it was right there. It was right there.
Nice.
And so I grabbed it, and then I started jumping out the opening, and they were already running. I never got to see them.
Oh, wow.
They went down the side of the Staples store, and that was that.
Yeah.
And that was that for Zach and I staying in the tent on the railroad tracks.
Yeah, you guys got in the car? Or?
No, there was no car.
No, it just
there was
started
no car.
again.
No. It was 4 a.m. By the time we had gotten things packed up. And we wandered to a subdivision. There was a condominium complex. There was some trees in the middle of the interior courtyard there. And I pitched my tent there inside the tree that was there. Woke up in the morning. Yeah. And that was when we arrived in Calgary, actually.
Okay. Yeah.
And woke up in the morning and went to the internet cafe that was in town there. It skated there. And there was Keith, responding to my message saying that we were arriving in Calgary. Yeah. He didn't respond in the first couple of days leading up to us getting to Calgary because he was out at the farm.
Okay.
And didn't know about us getting there then. Yeah. And so I was a little concerned. And then that happened. And then, I get to the internet cafe, and there's the message from Keith, and he came and picked us up, and it was all good from there.
Wow.
So, and... there was something I mentioned off the top of the show that we were going to do here, and that was Mr. Spicoli, the great Spicoli, was going to come on, and he's got something to tell us, and I think he's got something to give us.
Yeah.
I'm not that fucking great, man.
Oh, yeah, you are, man.
Do you want to?
Anybody that could hook up a bunch of weed to a leaf blower and get the whole 420 rally stoned in one shot.
That was you.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great.
What do you got in the box?
What do we got here?
Over here.
So this is obviously shatter because we're obviously shatter freaks here.
Oh, it's pizza.
You can shatter that. Look at that. Is it?
Wow.
Fucking high.
Hey, we just did 420, so we definitely got the munchies. Yeah.
So I was mistaken. I thought when you were coming here because you wanted to give us something and promote something that it wasn't a pizza place.
Yeah.
That it was something to do with weed.
I think you
I don't
bought
want to
us
promote
something to
any
eat. Yeah.
pizza places, but hey, I can. but like, man, hey, my buddies.
Now you got to slide in here a little more.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll slide in.
Here we go.
Yeah.
My buddies at Emilio Fanati's do some great pizza in Langley, but this one I just got from Goldie's. That's right in the west.
I haven't tried any yet, so I'm not sure I want to promote it yet.
But no, then don't.
You think it's good?
Yeah, I think it. Hey, the
You've had it
Goldie guy. I love the guy that goes down to the West Hotel there, and hey, I'm gonna have a talk with him because I was talking with Neil earlier, and pay what you can. And maybe me and Neil are gonna do a fucking
Pay what you can.
pay what you can pizza.
Nice.
And hey, that's in the works though. But for now,
All right.
I brought some fucking Jessica Love Buds.
There's some bud.
Look at that,
Nice.
And for the cannabis.
This is for the CSP, folks. It's not for me.
No.
No. Hey, that's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
No, that's
There
for
we
you.
go.
But what I did really bring is 100 Love Gummies
Nice.
for the Cannabis Substitution Project.
Just dump those out on my desk, why don't you? That sounds like a good idea.
And so we're going to give these to the love humans of Vancouver because, honestly, I love what you're doing. And I got to honestly say, hey, I was an opiate addicted addict when I was running the strip bar in Grand Prairie, and I was eating Oxy 40 for breakfast. I was popping and snorting and doing all kinds of things, and it's only because of fucking high potency medicinals that I fucking found a clearer, better fucking way than being addicted to opiates and addicted to cocaine and other things. Because marijuana helped me find my fucking love way.
Nice.
So honestly, I have such compassion for what you're doing and helping these people on the downtown east side, and you're doing a fucking fantastic, majestical job, like more than anybody wants to even give you credit for.
Yeah.
And well,
you.
some people are starting.
I know we're doing profound things
You're
here.
starting to get some credit for it finally.
Starting to get some recognition.
And rightfully so. But man, I just wanted to come donate 100 gummies.
Thank you so much.
And then honestly too, these are donated from my
I
buddy.
can't eat them all at once, though.
No.
These are donated from my buddy that's got the
Dentist without
amberdragon.com, and he's fucking doing, and these ones are full spectrum. So
Okay.
he's making Rick Simpson oil
Right.
out of Everclear though. So he's not even going, so he's
yeah.
going, he's going to Alberta. He's going to
Yeah,
Alberta
Everclear.
to get the 95% Everclear, so it's food grade, because he's afraid of poisoning people with the isopropyl.
We shouldn't really probably be using the term Rick Simpson oil.
No.
Rick doesn't like it when other people use it.
No.
It's not him that made it in
Oh,
his
really,
particular
eh?
process. And I'll tell you, there's a better way to do it. And there's a really good group called Legacy 420 that are putting out there what they're calling FECO, full extract cannabis oil, that is made properly, that has a variety of different strains to cover all the different cannabinoids and balance it all.
Flavonoids and everything.
And they're working really hard to get that out there as something that's available to cancer patients and other people that would need it, of course. And I want to give them a shout out as well because they've been great donators to the cannabis substitution programs back east to Halifax and to London and to now Mary and Winnipeg. And so a big shout out to the Legacy 420 people. They're doing great work, and there's going to be a lot heard from them coming up in the future. And the fecal oil that they're promoting, which I think is just a wonderful thing because that's the cutting edge of medicine.
And maybe that's what I need to even introduce him to my friend or my buddy, because hey, he's been doing, he didn't want to do, so he's getting the 95% Everclear from Alberta because he doesn't want, Because with isopropyl, if there is any left in there, it's doing harm to the human.
Yeah.
So these ones are full ones, and these ones are though made from the distillate from my buddy from the top shelf and from. Anyways.
All right.
But
So-
they're high potency pretty much. Like
Right.
they're all 100 or 200
200 here.
and 100.
Yeah, that's that. Beautiful.
So I want
So before I move on, just one more time, who are we promoting for this? Who do we thank for this?
Who you thank is you thank the Amber Dragon man at amberdragon.com, I do believe. But what you really should do, hold on.
It's a family show, by the way. Sorry, Annie Barbie.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Annie Barbie in a while.
I missed her for the last couple of weeks there.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't been
we
swearing.
miss you, Annie Barbie.
I haven't been swearing. I only apologize to her when we swear.
Yeah. And how long have you been clean off your opiates?
But it's been since 2001.
Wow. It's over 20 years.
Yeah, I just
Over
I
20.
just
I
celebrated
was
20
managing.
years.
I was managing showgirls up in Grand Prairie.
Wow.
So
So
I
he
was
quit
in
crack
charge
about
of
the
a lot
same
of
time.
things.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got an extra year than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, but honestly, I was eating more than 150 to 200 milligrams of opiates a day. I would wake up some days, pop a fucking
Pill.
a gray one.
Wow,
And
right.
this is before the fentanyl and shit too.
Yeah.
So I was getting government fentanyl 80 milligram in the morning.
No,
Okay,
that's
I was bunged up.
Oxycontin.
I was fucked up. Oxycontin, exactly.
Oxycontin,
the
that's
great.
not fentanyl. That's Oxycontin. One
No,
of the
no,
precursors
exactly.
to fentanyl. Yeah.
No, there was no fentanyl in those back then.
Yeah, so
But man, I'd eat Oxy 80 some mornings for breakfast because I'd be up
Hey,
doing cocaine with the girl.
I gotta move on quick here, but have you
Yeah,
seen
you
the
do.
movie Dope Sick?
No.
Well, it's a series on Disney Plus. I don't know where you can find it other places as well, but check that out as well. What do you got there?
Oh, hey, I was gonna show or give you. Oh, here we go. Oh, so.
Oh, and lighter.
No. We got the goods. We got the goods is the other place that gave 50 of these
I see.
edibles.
okay.
Very good.
And we got the goods also has live reds and diamonds. We got and the good top shelf buds.
Right.
But we got the goods is the one that is donating 50 of them, and then Amber Dragon donated the other 50.
Nice.
But hey, I'm gonna get out of the hot seat and
All right.
give it up to the hot lady because that's what I do. And hey, I just appreciate you and what you're doing. And hey, love
Thank you very
humans,
much. I appreciate
love
this very
humans.
much.
Keep on the cannabis, get out the bad shit, and support this love human.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you for calling.
Thanks, Glenn.
Love it.
Very nice, yeah.
Next time I'll stay in for the longer and smoke some shit.
All right. Well, I'll get here on time next time.
I know, I tried, but I
That'll
had
help
to
you.
get the pizza, and the pizza's too
All right, I'll see you
All
next
right,
week
Glenn.
too. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We'll let
It's
your
been
guests get in. Yeah. Well, take care.
All right.
All right.
All right. I'm very happy to have with me today. PrettyEastVan. Is that how you say it? You're gonna come right on in. Come on in and tell me. You introduce yourself.
Oh, where am
She's
I?
been doing such great work.
Can you see me?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's weird not seeing myself on the
Oh,
screen.
because you have your own show.
Oh, yeah,
One
we're
of the
just
things that you
starting back up again.
Right.
So I'm PrettyEastVan. I live down here in East Van area.
For how long now?
I've been here for 7 years, but I was actually down here as a youth, and as a teenager, I was a street kid, so I was homeless down here on Hastings
Right.
from I think about 12 till 14.
Wow. 12, eh?
Yeah, I was really young down here.
Yeah.
Had one of my mom's friends brought me down here. So
Well, that was
for
nice
a
of her.
party. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I ended up coming back here as an adult. And
So you were like a street youth down here and in some trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a really bad upbringing. My biological mother partied a lot,
Right.
and she was very abusive. So when she was abusing me, I was the one she would hurt all the time. It just made me not want to be at home in the
So
streets.
did you get involved with the street drugs?
Off and on, yeah. It wasn't really a thing for me.
Right.
It was more the drinking
Right.
and like
Which
coping
people don't
with
give
life.
enough credit to as being like a drug of issue. Alcohol is not a drug. People think, well, yes, it is. It's just a liquid drug, and it brings with it the same properties and issues as, you know, as the other drugs as well. It's a huge issue for a lot of people, for sure.
Definitely.
It is the drug of choice of a lot of people down here on the downtown east side as well.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
Yeah,
It's
for sure.
pretty sad.
And then so for how long were you gone before you came back? And when you came back, was it to give back?
I had moved back to when I was about 14. The cops, a bad situation happened on Hastings with me and a girl and some guys. And the cops had found us, and this guy had a gun and stuff. So they put me back in foster care and shipped me back to Alberta. And it was just worse from there. You know,
Right.
I got into the gangs, and I did a lot of jail time, and I probably did about 7 years.
Wow.
And
So there was
in
quite a
and out.
stretch between when you left here and then came back.
Yeah, so like my life kind of went downhill, and then I moved to Toronto, and I knew that I wanted to change. Like there's something more that I had to do, but I just wasn't finding it in Toronto. And my I quit drinking for quite some time, and my partner was drinking every day. And it just made life so chaotic, and I wasn't happy. I knew there was more.
Right.
So we had one really huge fight, and the whole block heard. He was just completely drunk, and I packed up the next day, and I came to Vancouver.
Wow.
And when I got here,
And
I
that's
wanted
several
to do
years
more.
ago now.
Yeah, about 6 years, 5 years now.
Right.
So when I got here, I ended up hitting Hastings like immediately. I have an uncle who lived in Oppenheimer in
Right.
a tent.
Right.
So I came down here and found him. And yeah, I wanted to push myself more, but I realized that coming out of like the jail life, the gang life, and going to be like, as soon as I got out of jail, I turned into a housewife. And I was literally like, there was no in between of me living life and finding out how it was to be an adult, and realizing that leaving these things left me with anxiety, depression, and like a fear of just being around people. And that's where you came in.
Well, I was going to say, so how did you get help out of that here on the downtown east side? Like, were there organizations that you got involved with? Or?
Yeah, so I ended up, I took my ex back, and he did the same shit again, and the cops came, and they arrested him, and
Patterns typically repeat.
yeah, it was the
Yeah.
alcohol.
If you're in a bad relationship, or you were in a bad relationship, and you're thinking of going back to that same person, just realize that those patterns click back into place pretty quickly there. There's a lot of triggers where things just, all of a sudden, it's back to where it was. It's very, 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 very difficult. If you're going to go back with an ex and it wasn't good, make sure you got your eyes wide open and you understand those things, and that you really do believe that the person has changed and the situation can change.
Yeah.
But it usually doesn't. It usually goes back to the same, unfortunately. Just wanted to say, I give out little random bits of public service
It's good,
advice
though.
here whenever I get it inspired.
So,
So you got it, like, which groups were it, and what, how, I mean, you've done
Crabtree.
so much good work in the last while. I'm very curious as to just how you turned that around so well.
So I started volunteering at Crabtree Corner, and that's a program down on Hastings that supports mothers, like people who were coming from, like parents who were coming from any situation. They give you programs, and they had given me a volunteer position. And when I was there, I was able to give like a family, say, an outfit or some Pampers and stuff.
Right.
And I was like, I really love this feeling. Like,
Yeah.
even though it's a pair of clothes, it feels so good to help somebody.
Well, you can feel the vibration coming off the people you're giving it to and what it's meaning to them. And, you know, it's a real echo thing that goes back and forth with that. That's what happens, right? So I can really appreciate what you're saying there. It feels good to be able to be the one giving and helping instead of the one that needs the help.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really
Definitely.
wonderful position to be in. So you kind of got that bug a little bit.
Yeah, well then I got offered schooling, and I got offered full-time daycare, and it's really hard, as any single parent knows, to get daycare. So I got offered daycare, and then I got into school, and my first day was just so emotionally exhausting. Like, I literally felt like I was going to faint so many times. It was the people, and just, you know, I dropped out in grade 7 due to bullying, and it was all that trauma coming up, and I realized that, like, when I first started school, that I needed something to help. and to help me get through this and calm my nerves, or I wasn't going to graduate. This was going to go nowhere fast. Right. And somebody had walked by me with a baggie from Van Du.
Right.
And it was one of my friends from the program, and at Crabtree, and she was telling me about it, and I was like, oh my God, maybe that would help me with anxiety. Like, maybe there's something to this that could help me. And so I walked on over and I got a bag, and I portioned out my gummies for every day for school, and in the morning I would take a little brick of gummy and I'd go to school. It was fine. I'd have a great time, and I had to do that all the way through college. To complete college, there was a lot of things that I went through in that time with losing my baby's dads, and there's a lot of losses and stuff, but your program literally helped me maintain a stable level without being like, oh my God, I'm just going to get hammered. Screw all this shit. I just need to drink, Right. I was able
helps to level off and level up a little bit.
And take that temptation away. Yeah. I believe your program helps so many people, especially who are addicted to hard drugs, because there's something about cannabis that when you take it, it puts you at ease, and it doesn't make you have those cravings. I'm sure people crave, but it helps in so many different ways.
Yeah, smoke some bud and calm down, basically,
Yeah.
I mean, a full-on sativa with some people can get them up and going sometimes, and you can't sleep, the brain's going. But for the most part, what's in the marketplace is indicas, and I'm not sure about the indica sativa thing, but cannabis is a calming agent that allows me to function too. I'm a bit of a hyper person, and it kind of just slows me down to that level that I need to be at, where I can really function properly and not get ahead of myself and make rash decisions. And it's been great. It's such a fantastic commodity. What a horribly corrupt world we're living in, that we have to be accessing it the way that we do and fighting to be able to have it. It's just, I'm just continually, I don't know what the word is, at loss for words, I guess is what I'm continually. I keep trying to find the right words. I do this show every week to try to come up with the right words to express just how wrong it is, but I don't think I've hit it yet. This is like the craziest thing. Like, I can't imagine how we're living in a world where we've got these people we're paying money to be public servants, they call themselves, and yet they're reaching into our lives and saying, oh, no, you can drink alcohol if we provide it for you, or maybe you can make some of your own, but no, you can't grow this plant for yourself because, well, they lied numerous different ways over the last minute. They should be so sorry right now. They should all be executed. But I mean, short of that, I mean, they should at least be apologizing, if not executed, because they were wrong. I mean, nothing was ever right. It makes people violent and insane. That's what they said. That's what all the hype, the reefer madness was. The media was all over. Oh my God, there's this crazy drug coming up from Mexico, and it's making people violent and insane. And William Randolph Hearst, because he wanted to punch back at the Mexicans that had stolen land from him, and he hated them, and he wanted to use his wood waste to make paper with instead of the paper that was made out of hemp that people have been using for hundreds of years. And because of all of that, he wrote stories about every violent act that ever happened. Instead of the guy smoked a joint and then went and axed his family to death. And the public bought it, because if it's written in a newspaper, it must be true, right? And it was all just such lies. Well, they should have apologized. They should have been like tail between their legs. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Bend over and fucking take their lashes. But instead, they just carry right on. I'm sorry to go on, but it drives me nuts that now they can... So I think what we have here is a mystery going on. That I think Spicoli lost something because
I think the phone's underneath the gummies. Because he can hear it go off.
Oh, is it a phone that's going off under here?
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe not. Hey, we're not.
Yeah, that's a phone
We're
that
dumb.
keeps
We're
doing it.
stoned.
Yeah,
I don't know where it is, though.
You lost your phone?
Yeah, but we keep hearing
We
it.
can hear it.
Okay, well, can we phone it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, what's the number?
You give everybody Spilly numbers, especially the sexy ladies. 778 788 7374. If you want to hit Spicoli up, hey, I got lots of edibles.
So yeah, technical difficulties on the The truth is that we hoped that we could do things properly, but it changed from what we expected, and here we are talking about.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Oh, it's on the floor.
We found it. Hey. All right, the mystery has a happy ending. Hey, Spicoli. If that's not typical Spicoli, I don't know what is. So that's awesome. So yeah, I've alluded to this one several times. You wouldn't know, but I mean, some of my regular viewers would know that I've talked about when I was at a debate that was going on between
Do you have a paper and roller?
a paper and roller. Well, that would all
I got
be.
lots of we got
I think
paper
the saddest thing that's happening in
and
society.
matches and
Okay.
things from my top shelf buddies.
There you go.
I think the saddest thing that's happening in society right now is they're making a profit. So the government is so profiting off everyone's disparity and all of the stuff that hard drugs and alcohol is doing to us. I mean, if people weren't
You could have
getting
stopped
fucked
it
up
at your
and doing
first
crime.
3 words. You nailed it with your first 3 words. All of my frustration, all of this ridiculousness, all this reason why they haven't apologized and they're making profit.
Mm-hmm. And it's
That's
quite
it.
a large one. I mean, we keep the police running, we keep the jails running, we keep lawyers running, we keep the government running. Like, I'm sorry to say we, but I am an ex-criminal. I do have a lengthy criminal record. Oddly, I do work now for Aboriginal Policing Center, but you know, like
Or not so oddly, you know.
Well, you know, I got a lot of assaults on officers. Like I'm a fighter, and you know, it was such a switch to be like, I actually like this VPD officer. Holy shit, you know, this guy is actually he's an Aboriginal one, and now I have a different view on VPD and a different view on officers who are actually in it for the people. We know that sadly, I'm sorry to say, but like 80% of officers are against us. You know, there is a small fraction of them who are really there for the people. But, you know, then again, it's like if we weren't suffering and hurting each other and, you know, trying to cover mask this pain, they would be unemployed. There'd be no work for them.
That's right.
I mean, because the world would be healed.
And that's part of why they maintain drug prohibition. This whole system feeds everything. They'd have to lay off a bunch of cops.
Do you have a grinder?
We do. A little sticky, maybe. If not, there's one in that white bowl there. That,
I remember,
assistant.
you know, sitting in jail and having people who are in the position of power tell me I'm not going to amount to anything and like, oh, here's that jailbird, you know, and getting released and put back on the streets with no system built there to help me, you know? And like one time
systems
I got
built
arrested.
there, by the way, to keep you there,
Yeah.
to maintain. They have all this maintained fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as actually solving it, well, that would put a bunch of people out of work, and that would stop the money from flowing in a lot of ways. My recent one lately is the treatment industry. I thought the treatment industry were allies of ours, but it turns out that they're there because governments and insurance companies and families are willing to pay large dollars to have their loved ones go through rehab. And so they're getting thousands of dollars per night per person that is put into these places.
Yeah.
It's huge dollars. The movie Body Brokers is what you should watch. That's on YouTube. And that talks about how these, one in particular, they focus, it's a documentary more than a movie, on this one treatment center in California, but it's one of many treatment centers. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry in California alone, where the government has decided that they will put tax dollars into getting people through withdrawal or through rehab withdrawal, and so that these places then hire people to go out and find people that would want to go through rehab and go through treatment. So they're running around the country, they're finding people that are down and out, homeless, addicted, and saying, hey, we'll fly you to California, we'll pay for everything, don't worry about it. You know, if you stay there for 90 days, and in many cases they'll give them money at the end of it for having successfully completed the treatment. But they're getting for the first 30 days $2,000 per person per bed. The body broker's job is to fill those beds. The treatment center's job is to collect the money. It's nobody's job to make these people better. They don't want to make them better. They have a less than 10% success rate on purpose. They want people coming through 6-7 times to try to finally maybe get it right. And all of it's just like $42 million, this one treatment center in 12 months, billed the California government, the taxpayers paid for. And it's even way worse than that, because they have the halfway houses also owned by the treatment center people that the people go into after they get out of treatment, because you don't have housing anymore if you've been gone for 60 days or 90 days or whatever. And in the halfway house, they're going to sell you drugs back again, take the money back that they paid you to get to the end day, and re-addict you so that 6 months later they can re-enroll you and put you back on the gravy train for them.
What
Wow.
I think is like the worst thing is letting unhealed people try to heal people. Like, if you're so traumatized and you know, and I'm an adult now, so I can speak about this, but I had a situation where I was in a treatment center, and I was obviously, like, I wasn't, you know, I was still in that gang mind frame, the hustler and all that stuff. And I had one of the counselors take me on a shopping spree. Pick me up every weekend with my girlfriends, go party, you know? And this was a counselor at a treatment center. Like, he was supposed to be not doing those things, but he did those things, and I wasn't in a healthy state of mind, so I was accepting it. But when I look back on it, it really derailed my life even more.
Right.
Because it was like, okay, this person of, you know, some authority is basically telling me it's okay.
Yeah. And that was
know?
part of this movie as well. That the people that were running the treatment center, the body brokers themselves, were actually not just ex-users, but continuing to be users. You know, big money now involved, driving fancy cars, having lots of big parties, and lots of drugs on the table at the big party. It was so sad to see that. I had to really readjust my thinking about who is an ally of ours and who isn't. These are big forces. If it's $1 billion industry in just one state, and I know it's huge in Canada as well, there's lots of treatment options for people here. If that's $1 billion industry, well, they don't want cannabis to be this. Put some here. There we go. To be an option, and this is the thing. You were coming to see us 5 years ago when we were at Van Du.
Yes, the very beginning.
And you know, I had a vision for this project back at that time that was similar to when we had our store. That was when I was starting to finally reach, you know, the vision that I had. And we turned our project of people lining up randomly getting care packs into a program where they could be registered and they could pick what they wanted, and they could get, you know, X amount, 420 milligrams every 4 days, as it turned out. But all of this is so at a snail's pace, like an iceberg, you know.
And it's sad because it's like,
It is.
you got me through college. Like, if I didn't have these edibles, I would not be able to sit in that classroom and do the work, because my anxiety is so bad. Like, now in life, I've kind of battled and conquered those fears a little bit. I still get it though, you know, but it's like, now I'm able to do stuff properly. But I literally, if I wasn't on your program, I just don't see me being successful in school.
We have saved people's lives.
It does.
I
honestly
know
think it does, because, you know, I know people who,
Here it is.
I do volunteer work in the SROs, and I know people who are coming down, and I'm on another edible program. So now with those edibles, I give them to the people who are coming off drugs or who are really, really sick. And I'm like, here, eat this, you'll be fine, you know? And, you know, I had a lady be like, holy shit, you know, you really helped me out the other night. And I was like, well, it's the weed. I mean,
We've got 266 members. And yet we're really just scratching the surface of the need that is just within this city, you know?
well, it's bizarre to me that the government hasn't been like, okay, Neil, this makes sense. I mean, you're not only helping the average person. I mean, I'm not homeless anymore or out on my luck anymore, but Neil's program has helped me so much. And, you know, it's like you're helping everybody. You know, like now I'm a businesswoman.
We want to help everybody.
Yeah, now I'm a businesswoman, and, you know, I do some other things like youth coordinator. Like, I just do a lot of great things in the community, and I help a lot of people.
And I didn't actually know your story about our edibles helping you get through what you got through to get to where you are right now. So
I tried
I'm
to tell
humbled
you
by
once.
that. Well, I know you've thanked us for what we're doing and everything, but I didn't really understand the dynamics of it, and it is humbling to hear that, and very, very good to hear that. Once again, it's always with me balanced by how I feel about a government that won't support that.
I know.
It should only take your testimony.
It's sad.
It should only take the testimony of any
me.
one of our 266 members. Mm-hmm. If the government, our public servants, the minister in charge would come and just have a conversation with any of those people, mm-hmm. I'm sure, unless they're completely corrupted and soulless, that they would pretty quickly sign that piece of paper for us. And that's all it is a piece of paper. We just want a piece of paper. Licenses, I don't care. Give us a piece of paper that says we can keep doing what we're doing, and you can figure out how to give us a license for that down the road and make that work with your system. But the exemption to continue, we're continuing anyway. We never stopped. We never would stop, except that we did stop growing. We did stop evolving from where we were when we got from Van Du on the sidewalk to having a storefront with a real store where people could come in, they could feel safe, they could see everything that they needed for themselves.
It was beautiful in here.
It was beautiful in here. And I was so happy to have that. And here we are, it's been 14 and a half months that we've been in a little RV out front, not being able to increase our program, not being able to have another location somewhere, not having our other chapters in the other parts of Canada be able to have a storefront and help their communities out, all because the government doesn't want to interfere with their legal monopoly of high-priced non-medical cannabis.
Well,
it's disgusting.
Me, it's like there's so many dispensaries here who don't even do like half the give backs that you do. I mean, you're not only in it for the money, which I see other dispensaries doing, you're in it to help people.
Yeah, we're not here to get rich.
There's a huge difference. Like there's a dispensary down my block. Literally, I spent $90 there and I got like an eighth.
I don't know who came up with the phrase, but the patience before profits or patience over profits is a really good mantra to have. Especially when you're dealing with people that don't have much, that are in serious need. Those people need to have somebody putting them ahead of making money off of them.
Yes.
It's simple as that. Our focus here is on making enough money so that we can support the program and it all can work. I put together a business model that allows for us to subsidize the CSP with the sale of cannabis, and I did that for two reasons. One, people need to be able to go buy cannabis reasonably, and our pricing is still way too high, but it's way lower than everywhere else, anywhere else. Yes. And we want it way lower than that. We want reasonable markup from what it actually takes to produce and bring it to the marketplace. People need to make a good dollar for whatever they do in life, and you need to make a good dollar producing cannabis and into its many different forms or whatever, and bringing it to the marketplace. Everybody should do good on that. But you don't need to make 10,000 times profit on it, I gotta clarify every time, because I've got people that are in the industry, good friends of mine on the illegal side, on the legal side, and they put a lot into their cannabis, and it costs a lot to produce the way that they do it, and it can cost a lot to produce the real gourmet, really great cannabis that people want out there. But cannabis can be also brought to market just like any other fruit and vegetable. The farmers would figure out how to be efficient in its production. It wouldn't be like this exactly, but it would be close enough to that. There'd be enough of it there. Just that people that don't have the big bucks for by the gram can go by the pound, like you buy tomatoes and cherries and everything else, at a price that's reasonable. And sure, it wouldn't be cured and clipped and all that, because that all costs money. But you could buy it like you buy a bunch of carrots, bundled up foot-long branches of leaf and stem and bud, and people at home would figure out how to process that in ways that work for them. Those that want to, and those that can't or don't want to, and they have the money and they want to walk into a high-end store and buy real pretty buds and nice packaging and all the rest of it, they can do that. The marketplace is open to everybody, or it should be, but because it's not open to the people that don't have much money, who are daily users, who are needing it because they're sick. Man, this is not okay. This is a very corrupt world when those people don't. Those are the ones that needed it first. Give those people the option of getting cannabis cheap, $10 a pound for bulk cannabis and whatever, and then go up from there and allow the rich people to have it the way that they want it. That's all fine. But if the rich people are going to get it the way they want it and the poor people can't get it at all, then that's not fine. And this is a real sign of how corrupt our world is. Because this is not a king or a tyrant. Sorry, I go on and on. It's not a king or a tyrant that has us by the short and curlies that gets to decide whatever he wants for him and his buddies, how much money they want to suck out of us. It's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be free people in a democracy of public servants. And it's so far from that I get really upset and I can't stop talking about it. And so I go on and rant. So there you go. Thank you for giving me another opportunity to rant about it.
Yes.
One of these days, maybe I'll stop. I don't know if you know, we got a letter, an email from the new Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions, Carolyn Bennett, in response to letters that she got from several different provincial departments on our behalf, asking her to look into cannabis as a harm reduction option.
Yes.
And she said they are aware that it has got great promise as an emerging option, which is something the federal government has never said before in print anywhere. Said that they were thanking us for our continuing service to the community, which was a wonderful sentence, and that they're going to work with their partners to get over these regulatory issues that they know that we're having here. So there is traction.
They're noticing you.
They're noticing us.
Yeah.
We're getting some traction. Maybe. So what do you do now? I mean, you do so many different things in the neighborhood. And so give us a little glimpse into what you're doing on a daily basis to try to help out.
So I'm a screen printer. So, and I got into screen printing by opening my own business and in fashion. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to print myself because there's no way I'm going to be able to live. I'm going to go right into debt if I have to pay people to print for me.
Right.
So I learned it quick, got into screen printing, and so now I work for a policing center in Vancouver, an Aboriginal policing center, and which is great because it allows me to work with people.
So you're putting graphics onto clothing and things like that. That's
yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I do that for them. I do custom ones. So say you wanted me to put a pot leaf on a shirt. Well, bring me this. Well, don't even bring me the shirt. I have the shirts.
You have the shirts.
I could just print it for you,
Yeah.
and like it's. I have my dream job right now. Actually,
Nice.
I'm really happy in life.
Cool. You're working in fashion and making beautiful things. And
I'm a youth worker. I'm a youth coordinator, so I work with the youth, and it's really good because I work with sharing my story about being a street kid, and how I came out of it and what I'm doing now, and just showing people that it's possible no matter where you are in life. Sadly, a lot of street kids don't get told that.
Yeah.
And that's what kept me out on the streets was being told I was going to be nothing. Right. So, I share my story so people are inspired.
Yes.
I train people in screen printing. I train youth to screen print.
It's the word hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the word hope is so powerful and so important. And so many of the youth, when they hit the streets, they're scared, they've been abused, and they don't have much hope. Yeah. And that's why they look for protection amongst the people on the streets that can protect them. But unfortunately, they generally become abused in that, or they become, into lifestyles that are dangerous and not healthy and all the rest of that. But,
It's, it just takes one person to change a youth's life, just one person. Sadly, my adopted mom had passed away, and she was that person for me. Mm-hmm. She literally, she stood up for me and everything, literally changed my life. So it made me see life, and
she's probably this chunk right here.
So grateful for her.
She's with you always. You are, her manifested through you, obviously, of course.
Yeah, she was so proud of me, especially when I got the job with the policing center. She was just mind blown.
It is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, me too. Because I was always like, oh, I hate them,
Yeah. Well, and with your previous record, I'm surprised they don't let you work there. But every time they talk to you, they don't put you in handcuffs. For personal safety reasons. I hate that so much. I don't know how you feel about that, but putting somebody in handcuffs is a serious assault, and it should only happen under the most dire of circumstances, really. And these big cops. And even if they're not big, they're very well trained.
Oh God,
They're very well armed.
Oh my God.
and they need to put the average person into handcuffs for their own personal safety reasons. Give me a break. It's an intimidation tactic, and it is really, really harmful to many, many people. I mean, I personally have been traumatized by handcuffs. I hate them so much.
I got hogtied once.
Oh.
These guys hogtied me. That was horrible. Great night.
Yeah. They keep giving us stuff to talk about, that's for sure.
I wouldn't do it again. I would not
So,
do that again.
You've had a show. You had a show going on there. A small hiatus or something that's coming back. What's with that?
Yeah. So we had started a podcast over at the Aboriginal Front Door Society. Had a little changeover of staff and a bunch of other stuff happened. So now we're revamping it and we're gonna come back and do it again.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure for the Aboriginal Front Door, we're gonna do a lot of local East Van artists and people who are on their journey. You know.
Right. You're just telling stories, right?
Yeah, sharing people's stories.
Yeah. That's such an important thing to do because that's what real life is all about.
I love it.
The people that we're dealing with in Ottawa, they don't have a clue. You know, they're chauffeured back and forth to Parliament buildings from where, and now they're not. They just stay at home and they got an office in their house at the Parliament now, I guess. But I don't know what they're doing. But I do know that they're not coming here. No. And they are not experiencing real life. And they are so far uncoupled from the reality of what it's like to be a human being and under siege from all different sides, from society, from corporations, from governments, to be afraid of the police, to be afraid of taxes, to be afraid that you're not going to make your payments because the government's going to come and they want their money first, and all the rest of this where we are scared of our government and they should be scared of us. You know, we're the ones who are supposed to have control.
Yeah,
and
true.
We don't.
I feel like there's more of us than the government, but...
No, we need. I keep talking about it. We need to reset what's going on here. We need to sit down as reasonable human beings and talk about what our needs are and what we want to have public servants all about. Because it's evolved into this situation where public servants get voted into office. They're isolated from us. They give us their rhetoric and, you know, talking out of both sides of their mouth. Where their real masters are the lobbyists of the big corporations who are there to tell them what to do and what they need and what to do to be able to be getting back into office next time because, you know, you need the support of these big companies and all the rest of it. It's a system that has been taken over and co-opted by the very people that we as people need protection from. And we need to stop it somewhere. It's not looking good, folks. I wish I could say it was. I'm an optimist, and I'm telling you, I don't see a very good future if we can't turn things around a little bit. This situation over the last couple of years has allowed them to take away so many of our rights. Even the uprising with at the White House there against the Donald Trump, riling up his followers, and they went there and stormed the not the White House, the whatever it was there.
The Parliament.
Well,
I seen that.
Yeah, Capitol Hill. Yeah.
Did you see that lady? She was like, "It's a revolution."
It's a revolution.
Insurrection.
And now they're using that to determine that all those people are terrorists, and that there needs to be serious punishment, serious laws against what it is that they did. What they did there primarily was trespass. What they did there was what they believed was right to do for them as Americans, that they believed. It wasn't that they were messed up. It was that the government was messed up. It's that the governance of the American people has been so messed up that we've got such a huge division between their D and their R, their red and the blue. And really, they're all just people. They're all just American people. They all just want things to be good for them and their families and the economy and all the rest of it. They're not that far apart as human beings. Those people that went to storm the Capitol building thought that they were patriots. That's who they thought they were. Mm-hmm. They're there because their country's in trouble. And they want to do something about it. And they're willing to go and try to make a big stance about it. Nobody wanted to kill anybody, or maybe if somebody did, the odd lunatic might have been there. But that wasn't the motivation of most of them. Most of them were standing up because they believed that's what they should do as good Americans and patriots. And whether you think they were, or whether you think that they were misguided, total wrong, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that they were terrorists. And it doesn't mean that now all of our rights should be taken away from going to, if in the States, the Capitol building, or here in Parliament, or wherever it is, and raising a sign, and raising your voice, and being present there and saying, I'm not going to take this anymore. This is wrong. They're taking away our rights to do that based on that event and based on what's going on with this now and the protests now. I hate to say it, but the unvaccinated are the new gay. They are. They are being persecuted, hunted down, and demonized like I've never witnessed in my life before.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
You know?
I've heard it's way worse in China than it is here. Like, scary.
Very scary. Australia, very scary. We're not going in a good direction at all. And if there's going to be a reset, it should be a reset of our democracy and of how our rights get seriously entrenched now, because they should never be able to be taken away that they are at this point. All of these things that have taken away our rights were part of a state of emergency that happened 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago coming up here, is when there was this horrible threat to humanity, and this was the reaction. Now it's 2 years later, and we're not being told all the facts at all. You can see that. We're just being given lip service about how many people are got it now, and how many people are getting vaccinated now, and how many people died now, but not about what we need to do to protect ourselves other than get vaccinated. That's the real big theme there, is get vaccinated. On and on it goes. We're in trouble. As humanity, we're in trouble. And the agenda of the elite are being rolled out 10 times faster than they should be or could be if we weren't going through what we're going through now. And they've literally scared and intimidated all of the governments and all of the people into complying. And so many people, there's literally like 1,600 doctors have gotten together, and I forget the actual name of the website now, but COVIDSummitSomething.org, Dr. Malone, and they're not happy about this at all. The word they used was gobsmacked. And the thing is they're afraid to speak out because they're losing their licenses. They're being attacked. It's like there's a real sophisticated campaign like I've never witnessed before, that I never thought I could see in my lifetime, that they've decided to perpetrate on people. And probably because through the internet and communications with each other and the rise of right over wrong, they decided they had to act or seized the day to act and take this opportunity to really move their agenda further of having us be much more under their thumb and much less able to protest what we don't like about what they're doing, and much more able on their part to be able to oppress us and monopolize us and exploit us. It's serious, folks. It's really serious, and I hope that we can do something about it. I wish I knew exactly how, but I hope some of you people do. And if we all get together and think about it, you know, maybe you'll do what I'm doing and start a project like I started, or maybe you'll do what she's done, and you know, we all need to do what we can do here. It's important. It's important for us, but it's much more important for the generations to come, that we don't allow this situation to entrench the taking away of our rights to the point where we can't protest and we can't speak up without fear of real serious repercussions against us. And I'm really afraid that that's coming fast. We'll be like China soon, and our ability to protest will be similar to what it is there. I had a Chinese person recently ask me about what I was doing, just randomly. She knew nothing about it. And when I told her, she said, you need to be careful about your government. And, you know, she's right. But our government at that point, or maybe at this point, isn't quite what it is in China, where she's learned that, you know, you need to watch out what you say, because, you know, they will hear you and they will censor you, and whatever that means or whatever that takes. So anyway, I've gone on too much here. What else do you want to tell us about today?
I don't know.
Did you get most of it off your chest? And,
Yeah.
I'm really glad you told us
really
about your
hope you
history
get
and told me your
supported.
story about you know, how you got to be here and doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I don't think we got quite enough of that yet, but you know, we'll find out on your show what you're doing, I'm sure, eh? And when is that starting back up? Do you have a firm date on that?
No, not yet. I'm hoping like in a month and a half. Okay. I don't know. I think right now we're looking for podcast space.
Okay. Do you still have the contact? Who would you promote? How would you promote? How do they find you? How do people follow you?
Not for the podcast, but for me personally, I do.
Yeah. Well, give us that so then they can follow that. And when you got your show going on, I'll happily announce that on my show for people as well.
You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at PrettyEastVan. My store is www.PrettyEastVanDesigns.com .ca.
And you got lots of different clothing options with lots of cool graphics available.
Yeah, I got like a mix of stuff right now.
Cool. Getting excited about the summer line or the spring line coming up?
Well, I've decided to, instead of just print on shirts that were already made for me, I decided to like do my own clothing. Like I want to really get deep into the fashion, so I'm sewing bomber jackets and then I'm going to print on them.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so I'm going to change it up a bit.
Cool.
And I'm going to charge a lot of money.
Okay. And then what are you going to do with the money?
I'm going to do give backs. I'm always going to be supporting somebody in the Hastings area.
Nice.
I work with a lot of families down here, and I just, giving back's the hugest thing for me. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story and stuff. And can't wait to see what you're going to do in the future here. We're going to change the world.
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
And it's coming from here, the downtown east side of Vancouver. There's so much that comes out of here. Drug policy all across Canada has been driven by the downtown east side of Vancouver and the protests that's been going on here with cannabis culture and all these things as well. And it's going to continue. I don't know why. Maybe it's the people. Maybe it's the environment, the situation. I don't know. But this seems to be the place where good decisions get made about how we need to shape our future, and the right type of protests and people come along to make that happen, and you're one of those. So thank you so much for that.
Thank
It's been a
you.
pleasure knowing you over the last little while, and like I say, I can't wait to see more in the future. So
Thank you.
Cool. You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh my God, those images are so distracting. I was like, why
Spicoli.
am I looking at this instead of
Because you're hungry.
It's marketing. They do it on purpose. They spend lots of money paying smart people putting fancy things onto pictures or onto things to sell stuff. So very awesome what goes on here. This is a nice day of donations and donations to the CSP. And the CSP is the Cannabis Substitution Program, and we've been talking about it every week on the show here for quite a while. For those of you that are just tuning in, it's a program that was started about 5 years ago, coming right up. In 2 weeks' time, it will have been 5 years since I first arrived at the Vancouver area network of drug users' offices near Main and Hastings with a big box full of cannabis edibles and set up a table and started handing them out. That grew into doing it every week, every Saturday for a full year. A couple hundred care packs, 4 to 6 edibles, a joint or two. A good group of volunteers that would meet me there on their own, just sporadically show up and never missed and always made it work. And over the course of those 3.5 years of handing out cannabis to people to help them get off of opioids and to just help them in their lives generally, we never screened people as to why they were using what we were giving out. Anybody that wanted to line up for a couple hours and get a small care pack of some cannabis edibles was welcome to do that, in our opinion. And so during the course of that time, it only took 2.5 years for the city of Vancouver to respond to articles that were written by Dr. M.J. Malloy and studies about what our program was doing and other cannabis substitution and replacement programs, for them to pass a motion to unanimously support low barrier access to cannabis on the downtown east side through the Hastings corridor. Well, that was interesting and good news to us, and we decided we would respond to that, and after meeting with the city, went and looked for a storefront where we found this space and started setting up a store that would respond to the needs of the community, both with respect to the no-cost cannabis that we'd been doing for 3.5 years at Vandu, but also moving into low-cost cannabis. Earlier I alluded that there was 2 reasons why we felt that was important, and one was because people needed to have the ability to purchase cannabis, and there needed to be stores where people could purchase cannabis with low barriers, so low-cost cannabis without the barriers to getting there, the cost of over-packaging and taxation and all of those sorts of things. And the other is because there's people out there that are using opioids that aren't going to be part of a program where they'll come and line up and register and say, look at me, I'm using hard drugs and I can't stop and I really want these cannabis edibles to try to help me stop. A lot of people don't want to do that. They can't do that. It would cost them their job. It would cost them their reputation. It would cost them within their families, and they just can't do it. They won't do it. So they need to have a store that they can walk into, and nobody's going to ask them any questions, and they can just purchase what they need and walk out. And that is so important, that there be low cost as well as no cost cannabis. And that's why we're presenting this the way that we are to the federal government. And that's precisely what we are doing. Because after we got our storefront,
the city of Vancouver, rather than provide us with a license to be able to continue to operate the store, they said they needed to have us get approval first from the provincial government and then ultimately from the federal government. And so we applied. 17 plus months ago, we applied to the federal government for a license to be able to do what we had been doing at that time for 3.5 years, to licenses for us and our staff and for the suppliers that had been supplying us over the course of that time. Trusted people that had been providing us with cannabis that had never caused a problem for anybody, and so there should be no requirement on those people to have to adhere to other rigorous regulations that would otherwise raise the cost and lower the quality of what it was we were able to get to people. But it's been a long time since we applied, over 17 months. We also applied at the same time to the Federal Ministry of Health, Patty Haydu at the time, no longer there, for an emergency application for a temporary exemption to the Cannabis Act so that we could get that license from the city. Although being told that they would try to provide that for us in a timely fashion, we still haven't got that either. So what happened was we ended up getting evicted for no license. We had to find a way to continue doing what we were doing because we couldn't stop doing what we were doing at that point. We had been 5 months of providing service to people on a daily basis, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. And so we moved into an RV. And the next day after getting evicted from the store, we started in the RV. We've been there ever since. That's been 14.5 months now. So for 14.5 months, we've been providing the best we could what this neighborhood needs in respect to cannabis, high-dose edibles, and other cannabis products. And we wait, and we wait. You just heard me say that we did get an email from the new Federal Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions. There's also a new health minister. And maybe we'll get what we need to be able to expand our operations so that we can stop letting people fall through the cracks, so that we can reach many of the people who are not reaching at this time, and so that the other chapters of the CSP and the other efforts of groups all across Canada and other places in the world, but we're just dealing with Canada's government at this point, will be able to properly meet the needs of their neighborhoods as well, and save the lives of our brothers and sisters and sons and daughters that are struggling with addiction through, in most cases, no fault of their own, but through the fault of trauma and serious injury and an unethical medical system that puts people onto opioids, gets them addicted, and then kicks them out and leaves them on their own to find it where they can. And so, we're trying to do that. That's our efforts here, and we need all the help we can get. We're going to take a brief trip outside and check in with the people out there and see what's going on at the Healing Wave RV. It's a little bit of a rainy night here in Vancouver. Temperatures have warmed up quite a bit. The snow's all gone away, so that's all good. And here we are at the Healing Wave RV, the Ganja Mobile, CSP van. There's Jen Nelson in her usual spot there. You remind me of the woman in the tower. You should let down your hair so we can
Rapunzel.
climb up and I'm Rapunzel, am I? Or is it your... Is the woman Rapunzel?
Yes.
Okay.
Rapunzel,
What do I know?
Down your hair.
I should do my research before I start mentioning stories.
But hey man, this is like 2021 or 2022. Anybody can be Rapunzel. If you want to grow your hair, you can be Rapunzel.
Or shave it all off. That's right. That's a whole other story. So how has things been here today? Yeah? It's been probably a pretty busy day, I would imagine. Tomorrow's
Been up and down.
Yeah.
There's lots of people that haven't gotten their money yet, and there's lots of people that did. So.
Yeah, so this is the real busy time of the month where people can come and get this instead of going down the street and getting something else. And that's the beauty of what we're doing here, is providing an option for people. And so we're going to go check out the back door and see what's going on there. We'll see you in there in a few minutes. We still have our signs out. We think it's important. And thanks so much to those people that allowed us to get these hoodies. The CSP hoodies
are great for protection from rain and other things, and you can get one too if you want to contact us. Minimum $25. They sell for over $60 on the website where they were actually originating from, but we got it for $25 as a donation to the CSP, and all proceeds go exactly to the CSP. They're all volunteers, nobody makes money. That's just the way we work, because that's the way it should be with what the mission of the Cannabis Substitution Program is. And this is it here, and we'll see what happens here. Hello, hello.
How you doing, people?
Yeah, good to see you again, Mr. Andrew. How are you?
Going good.
That's good.
Even on this rainy day, it's a good day.
Yeah, you were helping people out again today, were you?
Yeah, I've done about 30 people today.
Right on. And what do you help them with? What do you have for them?
I have edibles for them. I have some of this stuff for them.
We practice this once a week. We're getting slicker all the time.
We have some gummies here. Gorilla Ganja gummies.
Gorilla Ganja?
Yeah. We have some cookies by Joe Pepper, 100 milligram.
Been helping our program since the beginning.
Yes, they're very good. And I have some Robert.
Those are actually somewhere in Neverland, I believe.
Yes, they are. That's what it's called.
So if you want to find those, you can probably Google somewhere in Neverland, and there's those and other products that they would have there.
These are 150 milligrams, this one right here.
Yeah, it's a lot for a small candy.
Now, he came here today.
Yeah.
I have these right here, 350 milligrams.
350 milligrams?
Yes, because of something that happened at 350 now.
Oh, I see. It might have been a mistake in the baking process.
Probably.
Could be.
They let us know.
Yeah, and as long as we let people know what's in them.
I let them know because I could tell which are which.
Yeah.
Some
people would appreciate those, and that would be probably exactly what they were looking for. And other people, that would be, oh man, I ate that candy and I was hanging on to a pole for hours, man.
Yeah, that could be.
So yeah, people need to know what their own tolerances are. There's no absolute standard for anybody. Everybody's different, and you need to find out what that is, and then
we had
some people could use those.
Workers here, George, sample one today, and he said they're very good.
They do work.
They work great.
Very
I have
cool.
some of these cherry and watermelon.
That's from BC Bud Guys.
BC Bud Guys.
Yeah.
Now I have some of this chocolate with peanuts in it. We're going to call it 100 milligrams.
Okay.
It's pretty good. And then we have some brownies from Roberta's Brownies.
Great. We don't have any more cubes at this point?
No, right now.
Or bears, so Green Wilderness, we don't have that right now, but there's an order in from them, they're coming.
Yeah, so okay. Yeah. And we have 80 milligram brownies from Roberta.
Right.
And we have some...
Thanks to our buddy on the island that helps with the butter for those, for sure. You know who you are. And we got caps there. From Dirty Dave.
I have some caps here. These caps here, 50 milligrams. These are very popular.
Yeah, Dirty Dave is one of the cleanest growers that I know. All of his production practices are top-notch, award-winning organics, or award-winning, absolutely.
These are lighter. These are 5 milligram ones.
Yeah.
I can tell which is the difference.
Nice.
These are very nice for people that need low dose. I have some
Keith caps.
Keith pills that we made in the machine, and these are 50 milligrams. Very popular.
Cool.
Very popular.
All right, well, you're doing a fine job.
Thanks very much.
Getting it to the people, and everybody's always happy. And
well, that's what we're here for, to help these people along in their daily lives.
And we certainly do.
For a lot of people here, it's the daily process of just waking up and making your day, and edibles make the day just a lot better, right?
Yeah, we were just talking with PrettyEastVan, and she said that she was using our program, started about 5 years ago, and because of our edibles, she was able to like meter them out every day, you know,
nice.
and she got through her schooling because of that. So that was awesome, and yeah, I know it really does help people for sure. So anyway, thank you so much, Andrew.
Thank you very much, brother.
Momentarily.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Well, hello.
Hello.
No George today.
He went home early.
I see, he did.
Then we just had a little rush as you went home. People.
Yeah, that's how that normally works, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Murphy's Law, apparently.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, Murphy it wasn't his law or her law. She just discovered it. That if you think you're going to need something and then you don't take it with you, yeah, you're going to need it. If you take it with you, you probably won't. Anyway, there's something else I wanted to mention before I talk with these folks much more, and that is that we're not alone here. There's other branches of the CSP, and I'm always happy to talk about what's going on in Halifax with Chris Backer and the East Coast Cannabis Substitution Program. It's very cold back east at this point. They're hanging in there, getting her done, but boy, oh boy, such amazing warriors that never quit no matter what. They're there, and I've heard Chris talk about that the people that they're helping, they need help, and if the people, if they're willing to come to get what he's going to give them, then he's going to make it there to give it to them. And so having some weather difficulties back east, but still doing an amazing job. It's been over 2 years of maintaining that program in Halifax. So thanks, Chris, and to all your volunteers and to all your donators for what you're doing there.
Clearly, that's one thing we all have in common. Every CSP has some really dedicated people.
They do. It really does seem to attract people that are totally dedicated to what's going on. I can't get rid of these guys no matter how hard I try.
Yeah, it's not
They
working.
just come here every day, and I've been seeing them for 5 years now. It's
I come early, very early, 2 hours early.
yeah, exactly. And you should stop doing that, by the way. You're waking up the neighborhood. Anyway.
That's okay. We love what we're doing.
Absolutely. We had one of our bakers, Mary McCarty, such a fabulous woman that cooked for us for so long here. And she had to go back east, so she went back home to London, Ontario. And of course, she couldn't help but start the Cannabis Substitution Program there. And even though she's now left, it's several months ago that she started that, it's still going strong. William Hicks and his volunteers and helpers and donators have made that work as well. And they're continuing on there. Serving the needs of their neighborhood, helping people get off of hard drugs, giving them a much better quality of life to those people that really need it. And I want you to know that our experience here, I've been down in this part of this city for a very long time. For going on 20 years, I've been down here dealing with people and finding out what's going on and meeting people. And the people that are struggling down here, that end up down here, they could easily be your brother or your sister or your uncle or your kids. It's just a life situational thing. It's about trauma. It's about events that happen. It's about how people deal with events that happen that are hard to deal with, and for no fault of their own, with just circumstances that happen. And there, but for the grace of nature, could go any one of us. People end up here struggling and in need of help. And our society is supposed to be built on compassion. That's a true society. It's one that makes its decisions based on people and their families and their futures and how they feel about things, and being compassionate and understanding and reasonable. That's what we want as a society. That's what the people are all about. And when government gets in the way and forces these sorts of things on people, where reasonableness is out the door, and it's all about right or just or not just, or just what they say or not just what they say. This is wrong. It needs to be right. We need to right it, and the CSP is a big part of that. So thank you to all those other groups across Canada that are doing similar things to what we're doing, our other CSP groups and the like. And also just a little bit of house cleaning. The Martin, Pat Wernicki, and Justin Siemens case that's coming up in the not too distant future. Hopefully, is going to have an end to it in the not too distant future. It looks like maybe in this next week there will be some further action within the courts, or some dates set or something like that. So we'll let you know what's going on with that. We have not abandoned that case at all. It's just things are on hold at this point, and we're waiting to see how they go, and I'll let you know when we know more about that. Other than that, another week. We're 60. This is our 63rd week in the RV, if anybody's keeping track. And something a little strange happened today. For the second time in the over a year, 14 and a half months that we've been parked in this RV in this location, we got a ticket. A ticket for parking for more than 2 hours, because you're not allowed to park for more than 2 hours here. We've only been here for 14 and a half months and haven't moved. So that's very interesting. I don't know that it's any push by any particular individual or group within the city to try to move us along. I'm going to get to find that out shortly, because now I get to go and talk to the city about this ticket and see if we can't make some arrangement. Because we have been paying for the parking on this spot all day, every day, without fail. and maybe they'll give us a bit of a break on future payments, or maybe even give us something back of what we've paid. We've got a huge big bag of receipts that we get from paying the payments here. So yeah, that happened. We got a ticket for parking more than 2 hours. In the worst case scenario, that ticket could allow them to tow us away now that they've ticketed us for that. But I suspect that won't happen. You know, we'll see. But once again, you know, living under the thumb of those that are supposed to be giving us support, and having to worry about not having a license, having to worry about whether the parking department is going to be coming after us, or whether the police are going to be coming after us, or whether the CSU is going to be coming after us, or who, we don't know. But we're not living free lives here of feeling secure in what we're doing, and happy that we have the support of the public servants that are paid to support exactly what it is that we're doing. We are doing the government's work here for sure, and should be supported by them, and at least in the form of a piece of paper with a signature on it, if not with actual financial help and assistance, and securing a building to operate out of it. All the other things that they would do for us if they were doing what they should be doing for us. So anyway, well gang, I'm about to sign off pretty quick. You got things you want to tell us? Any prepared stories?
It's been a good day.
It's been a good day? Okay, that's a short and quick story.
We're not hurting anybody by being here and giving people what they need.
We have demonstrated that.
If the government thinks we're hurting people, we're not hurting people, right?
You know, if they really thought we were hurting people, you would think that they would have come and stopped us.
Of course.
So, therefore, I like your logic. We're not hurting anybody. They haven't stopped us because they must recognize that.
Yeah, of course.
So, you know, one more step forward, and you can actually give us a piece of paper with a signature on it, and we could really be an actual legal mainstream entity in a world that needs us more than just about any other store that's in the mainstream marketplace. You know, what would you rather have, a shoe store or a cannabis store? Well, shoes are important, you know.
Well, sure, but if everybody was happy because they were smoking weed all the time, we wouldn't need shoes, you know?
We'd probably all sit around and make our own shoes or something. We'd start a shoe company.
Hemp shoes.
Yeah, hemp shoes. There you go. You see? Cannabis people are so creative. We solve problems just like that all the time.
Yeah. We could do it too.
Yeah, we could do it too. We've been demonstrating a lot of things. Cannabis culture has been demonstrating for a long time that you can have huge rallies of people under copious amounts of cannabinoids in all of its different forms, and it's nowhere near a disaster that the alcohol places are. In fact, it's not a disaster at all. Our 420 and Cannabis Day and Global Marijuana March events, they come off every year that we had them. Everybody just walks away smiling. Everybody's happy.
What do you mean? There's no brawls, there's no riots, there's no...
No brawls, no riots, no fights, no butting in.
No overdose.
I mean, you know, we've had like tens of thousands of people crammed into the art gallery, and way more than that down at Sunset Beach, and it really is a very cramped space.
Oh, sure.
And there's the odd disagreement, I think. I mean, I'd be naive to say there wasn't something. But boy, I'll tell you, it's not like it is in normal life, or not like it is in alcohol life.
Nobody overdosing.
No.
In alcohol life, you know, just go to the nightclubs. They're not even cramped in tight like that, especially nowadays. But the Granville Mall, Gastown, there's cops, lights, people yelling, drunk people acting out
All in
every
Granville.
Friday and Saturday night.
I saw in the news recently, there was a shooting in a bar I used to go to in Coquitlam. I was like,
Right.
great. I'm happy I don't go
Granville
there
night,
anymore.
Granville on the street. They have the cops on every street because of the alcohol when they come out of the bars.
That's right. There was just
Now,
a
if we had
person
them
who's
on
just been
marijuana,
convicted. I don't know if the sentence has happened yet, but he killed a former CFL player in an argument at a bar over drinks or something. Just some stupid thing, and he pulled out his gun and shot him. You know, cannabis does the opposite of what is going on there with alcohol fueling people in their violent, stupid things that they do. Cannabis is the opposite. It causes people to sit and contemplate what they're doing and what they're thinking about. And if it was violence that they were contemplating, almost always it's set aside and there's a hug instead of a punch. It's just the way it
just
is.
go straight home. You know, it's not worth it.
It's, you know, it is the true peace and love drug for sure. MDMA is a good love drug. But cannabis is a good love and peace drug as well.
One thing you're going to get hit with is the giggles or the munchies.
Yeah,
that's it.
Or go to sleep. And man, we all need more sleep than we're getting. It is just so ludicrous and ridiculous that this amazing natural medicinal herb in our environment that's been used for thousands of years for so many wonderful benefits has to be dealt with like it's some sort of explosive, contagious, horrible thing, and governments need to spend a whole whack of our money to make sure that we don't use it. It just, oh man, one of these days it's going to be righted, hopefully, so that I can have some time in my life with the peace of not having that going on in my world, right? But who knows? Anyway, until then, we'll just keep doing what we're doing, and we'll keep doing the show, and hopefully you'll keep watching the show and keep sharing the show. It's important that people know this stuff. I do this show because I want people to get this information. The stuff that we've talked about on the show today is stuff that everybody needs to understand, and it's very, very important to getting the change that we need in the world, because these are many of the things that need to be changed, and exposing that is very, very important, and that's why I do this. So we're going to keep on doing this. I hope that you can find your way in this crazy world, that you can keep your head above water and keep your eyes open and navigate it, without using fear as your guide to any great degree. I mean, healthy fear is always good. But yeah, it's a bit of a crazy world that we have going on here. Many people are feeling anxiety and depression and fear about what's going on, and they're acting out in their own way, and it's affecting their behaviors in many ways. And so that affects the people around them. And if you're one of the people around people like that, well, just try to keep a level head, and and don't let yourself be a contributor to the problem, but a diffuser of the problem. And throughout all of it, and whatever it is that you're aspiring to do, and however we're trying to change the world or live a peaceful life within it, the most important thing in my mind is have as much fun as you can. We'll see you next week.